Call to order the budget workshop, special meeting for the City of Keystone Heights. Ms. Rakowski, will you call roll, please?
Mayor Lake,
Here.
Vice Mayor Hart,
Here.
Councilman Bobby Brown,
Here.
Councilman Tony Brown,
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Mayor. Before we begin, if I can go over some dates, just we make sure that we get that taken care of. I do need to send our hearings to the state by the end of this week, so
Okay.
if that's all right. I went ahead and scheduled out a couple of dates, and please let me know if this is okay with council. The first order is that our council meeting that's scheduled for Monday, August 2nd, will have to be postponed until Monday, August 9th, due to some staffing things that has occurred today. The second one, I would like to schedule a budget and finance meeting for Friday, August 20th at 10 a.m., if that's okay with our budget and finance committee.
Hang on just a second.
August what?
August 20th for budget and finance.
What time?
10 a.m. you said?
Yes, ma'am.
That works for me.
Following that, if it's okay with council, I would like to schedule a workshop, a final budget workshop on August 25th at 3 p.m. That is a Wednesday.
I have an event that day. Yes, sir.
Mayor, on August 20th, just, I don't know if Ms. Landry got in the email, that Ms. Tanny still sent out, there's going to be a meeting in Lake Butler, a ready
The
meeting.
Ready community.
And Senator Bradley, President Payne. are
I
invited to be
appreciate
there as
that.
well.
Okay.
I think it's 10, well,
Is it the 20th?
it's the 20th, 10 o'clock.
All right, then we'll back up
as
just a moment.
FYI.
So you want to do it at a different time on Friday?
How about August 19th? That's a Thursday for budget and finance
At 10?
at 10?
That works for me.
Perfect.
Tony, you good with that date?
I don't know yet, but we'll go ahead and schedule it.
Okay.
The 19th is a Thursday.
Yeah, you and I have got a 9:30 that morning. So,
We'll have to adjust some of those.
right.
Then how about, you said the 25th, you have an event, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
How about the 26th?
What time would you propose?
It'll be a budget workshop, so if we can schedule that later on in the afternoon, maybe about 3.
As long as it's good, yeah, that's fine. Thursday, the 26th, yes, ma'am.
All right, and then our public hearings for our budget readings, because our first meeting will be held on Labor Day, I'm requesting that we move our first council meeting in September to September 13th at 6 o'clock. This will also be our first budget hearing. Our second budget hearing and adoption for September 27th at 5:05 p.m. That is also a Monday.
And the 13th, what time was it?
6 o'clock, that'll be our regular
Okay.
scheduled meeting for that, for
And
September.
the 27th to 6?
5:05. I have to do it after 5.
Could we back up to the council meeting that's been postponed to the 9th? I have a vacation planned, I won't be there, but could I appear by Zoom?
Yes,
Okay.
according to Mr. Commando and the new regulations, that is appropriate.
I'll take my laptop and we'll work out the details.
Absolutely.
Okay, seeing as we have our dates down, are there any public comment cards, ma'am?
I
Ms.
have 3,
Rakowski?
Madam Mayor.
You want to call them up, please?
First, Mr. Todd Beals.
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
Madam
is your
Mayor and
microphone
City
off?
Council.
Is your microphone on?
Hello, hello. There
There
we
you
go.
go.
I guess I got to talk into it.
Yes.
Thank you guys for letting me come up here and speak. I'm here on behalf of Kiwanis for the upcoming 2 parades. I just wanted to see if you guys would put into the budget the funds for the security again. This past 4th, 3rd, we ended up with 8 officers and 1 supervisor, and the total of that was $822. So we're looking for the next 2 parades at $1,644. So and we might want to just budget a little, just in case something changes. That's just based on the parade route that we had, just in case something changes, just to cover it, just in case. So, but I think that's where we're at, was the 1,644 for if everything falls into place the same way it did this last time.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
thank you.
Next, we have Miss Barbara Franklin.
Ms. Barbara?
Did everybody get one of these?
Yes.
Okay, so I fixed the application and took the word candy off of it, and it was brought up the last meeting that I guess the funds that you give to us are for safety only. That isn't accurate. Last year, we couldn't have the event, but the 2 years before that, you were adding $500 for Halloween decorations, because, you know, we were having the whatever you call it, the haunted house in the pavilion. So I'm not asking for any of that, but I just want to be clear for the record, it has never just been about safety. Just like with our Country Day, they don't use $5,000 just for safety. So I've redone everything, gave you guys a plan. I can certainly go over line by line if you like, or you could, if you've already had the opportunity to read it, you could ask me questions.
We'll discuss it in Budget and Finance. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Next, we have Mr. David Kirkland.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and council members. I'll read. I think you have a copy of perhaps what we've submitted, but for the record, I'll read this. As the Keystone Heights Airport Authority continues to pursue resources to install needed infrastructure and services to both aeronautical and non-aeronautical entities, we believe a collaborative approach to obtaining grants and funding would best be accomplished in conjunction with the city of Keystone Heights. So we are requesting to utilize the city's upcoming contract services through Clay County, which can be the strategic leverage necessary to gain needed resources. As chairman of the authority, we certainly appreciate your consideration on this. We think it's an effective tool that is in place, and would like to see if we can utilize that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We'll move on to Agenda Item A, the 2021-2022 budget. Ms. Rakowski, would you like to take lead?
Absolutely. Madam Mayor, before we continue, I just wanted to add in that Ms. Carrie Collins of the Jordan's Foundation, who does the 5K run on the 4th of July, was not able to be here. She did put in a telephone call asking that the $1,500 for safety and security be added into the budget as well.
Okay, thank you.
You do have a stack of asks that have been emailed in throughout the past couple of days. I received my last email not too long ago. So you have all of these, all of those in front of you. And then I have presented some very rough draft budgets to give you an idea of where we're heading for next year, and then start conversations as far as maximum millage rate, which we'll need to set this afternoon. Understand that when you set maximum millage rate, you can always go down, but you cannot go up. I've presented, the first budget that's in front of you today is the general fund, and I've presented you 3 budgets with 3 different millage rates. The first one is our current millage rate at 4.2901. If you turn to the second page, that's going to bring an income in of $826,641.24. $0.24. The next budget that was presented to you is at a millage rate of 3.9428. This represents your rollback rate. This takes in the same amount of dollars that would be collected this year. That's at $802,289.41. The next budget that's presented to you is at a 4.293, and this is the maximum that council will be able to go with a majority vote. So 4 have to vote yes on this. With that being said, that'll bring in a revenue of $843,416. We have rough numbers coming in from the state as far as our additional revenue. Those do not change throughout the budget. We're looking at approximately $80,000 for gas tax, CCUA, and Clay Electric. Their numbers are projected there. Our local communications tax, we're projecting the same amount as we had for last year's because we haven't received those projections yet for the next fiscal year. And then our state revenue sharing at $54,000. The rest is income that we anticipate from the city, different taxes and different fees that we have, business taxes and whatnot. If there's any questions regarding your income, I'll be happy to answer them. Again, this is just a very rough budget to give you an idea of where we stand for next year.
Okay.
Starting on page 2, I've put together a rough draft of some operating standards that we'll need to move forward for next year, kind of our nuts and bolts. This budget is balanced at the 4.2901. It might be off about $1,500 here or there because these numbers will fluctuate over the next couple of months as I draft this budget. There is a deficit at the rollback rate at 3.9428. And then we do have a little bit of additional funding that we can look at some additional projects at the 5.293. Or at 4.5293. I apologize. With that being said, there's a couple of things that I wanted to bring your attention to. On the bottom of page 3, the very last line, you'll see that there's $75,000 that's budgeted in there for the city engineer, and that's pretty substantial for what we typically budget. However, with our new engineering contract, we do have a lot of exciting things that we can go ahead and move forward with as far as planning. One of the things is we have, over the past several years, paved all of our roads that were deemed critical in 2013 and then reevaluated in 2018 by Michael Baker International. So the need for a new additional right-of-way plan, I think, is very, very much there for the city of Keystone Heights. And speaking with GMRP, they've got fantastic technology that they can go and drive the streets and get elevation of our entire right-of-way. So it will be a true right-of-way plan that will encompass both drainage, or not both, but all drainage, sidewalks, lighting, street conditions, and then additional traffic patterns.
And parking.
And parking.
Yeah. So what I think it might really do is give us a clear idea of the true assets of the city.
Absolutely. And so one of the things moving forward, I think that we have an opportunity with our new engineering firm to really be proactive and look at some plans for the next 5 and 10 years. In meeting with their team, I'm very excited about what they can bring to the table. They do have a landscape engineer that is very excited to come downtown and generate a plan for us as far as what that's going to look like aesthetically. Well, same words. And then is a parks plan. Look at each individual park and where our needs are at, where we should be focusing our efforts, and anticipate future needs so that we're not applying for a grant here and then picking up something that's coming up over at another park. We can offer good resources to our taxpayers.
Okay, sounds good.
Within that $75,000, and I'll break this out in moving forward, but there will be $25,000 budgeted for grant services you've heard me talk about over the past little while, being able to utilize Clay County's grant team. I spoke with Mr. Nagel last night. They will be getting me that contract by the end of this week. We're looking at an hourly contract as opposed to a portion of a salary. That way, he just feels that it'll be better for the city of Keystone Heights. I spoke to him about some of the needs that the airport has shared with us as far as and as well as some of our needs and things that we would want to go out for right away. He anticipates that $25,000 will more than cover that.
And
Okay.
that ties into David's ask, I think, does it not?
That's correct. Now, then that's up to the council, and that's something that we'll continue conversations over the next couple of weeks, if that's something that you would like to fund, but it is covered there.
Okay.
Does that include some drainage issues that have come up? I'm aware of two.
I'm sorry.
Does this planning also include looking at some of the drainage issues that
Yes.
we might have?
Yes, absolutely, with our engineer. So that's one of the things that GMRP probably in September will come to council about a scope and fee for drainage and then also stormwater management. With that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Again, this is just a nuts and bolts budget for you to look at specifically for maximum millage rate purposes.
I see you've already penciled in Ms. Katz James's request. That's our normal
That
allocation to the Lakes Fund
That was
project?
suspended last year because of the hit that we were looking at taking, and we'll talk about the Lakes Fund and where that balance is, that's bringing that up
Okay.
again.
And there was no budget yet for the Northeast Florida League of City Dinner?
So that's the checks and balances, because as we pay for money, we get reimbursed from the Northeast Florida, from the league for that. So that comes in one and then goes out the other.
Okay,
Or it goes out one and then comes in the other.
okay. And the CARES Act funding on the back page?
So the $170,000, we are anticipating about $345,000 from ARPA over the next 2 years. That's going to be allocated to us. Our first one will be sometime in the next fiscal year, as soon as they reach an agreement with the state of Florida and federal. And that'll be issued twice in half increments. So we're looking at about $170,000 to be coming into us this year.
Okay. Any of the work that's going on downtown, can that be slated as infrastructure?
So with the ARPA funding, we're still, the rules and regulations, and that's where the biggest hiccup is how we're able to spend this money. It's not like CARES. CARES was a reimbursement. You give them your projects and then they give you back the funding. This one is, here's your money, spend wisely, but spend within our guidelines. So they are putting together a playbook, if you will, of what you're capable of doing it. With that being said, things like our internet that you're looking at downtown, some security measures downtown, those types of things can be put into that. As
Fantastic.
far as, and then anything else, I'm still waiting on that playbook to come out.
Okay. Any questions at this time? Just the beginning of the budget process. We'll get more into it as time goes on. I didn't look at the other funds. Did you want to talk about the Lake Fund? We didn't talk about the other funds.
So there's 3 more budgets that we can review real quick. The first one is the infrastructure. We are expecting $164,000 to come as our part of that for our CIP funding. I don't have any projects. Typically, this is our next paving project. So these are just funds as we move forward over the next couple of weeks and have conversations, which you would anticipate doing with it. What I would like to do with it is spend some of that money to really allocate towards either stormwater management or that right-of-way improvements plan that we're going to be receiving from DMRP. It's a good planning tool that we can utilize moving forward.
Okay.
Some of the other things, and you have in your other packet, the breakdown of costs for the beach renovations from sheer construction. At the bottom, I have given you a list of CDs and when they mature. I've also given you the total amount that's in our account at this moment for infrastructure, leaving us with a total of about $500,000.
Okay. Something to consider.
Next budget that you have in front of you is the CRA. Our millage will affect this, but just slightly. You're looking at a couple $1,000s, probably the difference of $1,000 to $3,000 between where the millage rate is now versus what it will be set at. So I've just produced you with one budget, and that's at the current millage rate. The city revenue, our portion of the CRA will come in at about $27,000. The county funding will fund it at about $60,000. We're anticipating ending this year with about $110,000 in the bank to carry forward. Moving down, I've bumped up advertising to $10,000. We're doing some pretty exciting things down at the beach and within our city, and I want to make sure that we've got it in our budget to showcase that appropriately. The next large difference I've left in $15,000 for seasonal decorations. We've had conversations on upping our Christmas, and so making that a continuing thing.
The other thing that someone suggested, and I think it's a fantastic idea, is patriotic bunting around the pavilion
Sure.
during the military holidays and patriotic holidays.
Okay.
And something maybe along the fence line.
And that would be more than appropriate under seasonal decorations. If you look on page 2, there's $10,000 for benches and trash cans to start replacing what we have at the beach. This does not include what we'll be replacing for our streetscape. I've put in $60,000 for our streetscapes.
Is that including engineering, or is that separate to engineering?
I'm not entirely sure what his cost is going to be. So that would be, we've got a couple different pots to draw from in engineering. And then we've got opportunities for some grants as well. So we'll look at what's the best way, plus what we have not spent this year.
Yeah, just want to make sure that we can get as much of that $60,000 to the landscape as we can.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it should not, I can't imagine that it would come close to anywhere near $60,000 to come up with a plan.
Okay.
I apologize if you go back to page 1. Under CIP expenses, you'll see that there's a grant, there's $50,000 in that. Looking back at the last facade grant that the city of Keystone Heights had, that was roughly about what was spent from the city's portion of it.
Which line item is it? I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it.
The second to last line item on page 1. It says grant.
Oh, sorry, yes. Okay. Anything else you'd like to point out here?
And then that's it as far as unusual requests within the budget. I do have in there $3,000 because it is recommended that up to $1,500 be spent on anytime that we do a road closure from the sheriff's department. So there's $3,000 that are allocated in there for the Kiwanis parades. There's $1,500 that's allocated in there to the 5K run. Those are things that we typically fund every year. So they were just included, as well as the $2,000 that generally is asked from the Clay County EDC. And then over the next couple of weeks, I'll be sitting down with each one of you one-on-one to discuss any of these in detail.
Okay.
Last is the lakes account, and so you'll see that we have an annual transfer budget in there of $10,000. Lake maintenance is sitting right at $6,000. Currently, we have $39,290 in that account, so that'll bring it up to right about $49,000.
Perfect.
Madam Mayor, that's all I have for the budget. The next item is maximum millage rate, so if there are any questions regarding that.
Any questions of the city manager? Okay, moving on.
So at this time, I do request that the council makes a motion to set a maximum millage rate reminder that you can go down from this rate.
Is there a recommendation from a council member? I will put my 2 cents in. I think if we stay where we're at, we could still, we could be better positioned to attack Keystone Beach this year and some other projects that we want to get done. Any other comments?
The council and city has always taken pride on having a balanced budget, and I would think if we maintained the current mill rate, we would get a little bit of increase in income just due to assessed valuations. But my question would be, what does staff recommend?
The staff, I recommend that you stay at least at a 4.2901. I would not recommend the rollback rate. I do agree with Madam Mayor that we can get more accomplished at the current rate.
Just for the sake of discussion, I'll make the motion that we leave the millage rate at 4.2901.
Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. Discussion? Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Is there anything else to come before this special council meeting? Seeing none, everybody's got their tree for the day. We take them all home, study them.
What about the asks? Are we going to deal with those now?
No, that'll be in budget and finance where we start discussing those numbers. And then you'll see the numbers or the recommendations from budget and finance at the workshop.
Just one clarification for the ask for the Halloween. I think the hangup was that this is not in the CRA district. Is that
Correct.
the
Not
issue?
now.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Seeing none, meeting's adjourned.